Folks, Rich Van Tassel continuing on with our game recap of Week 15. We had some upload problems, so it was a little delayed, but this is still the first part, the 1 o'clock games we're finishing up with. Philadelphia Eagles lose 26-27 to the Ravens. Philly drops to 5-9. They are 1-7 on the road. Baltimore is 8-6, 6-2 at home. We'll get into Pittsburgh, who came back and won. They're both nip and tuck now at the top of the AFC North. Pittsburgh with the one-game lead. Carson Wentz, 22 of 42, 170 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Ryan Matthews had a good day on the ground, 20 carries, 128 yards, 6.4 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Byron Marshall, 9 for 22. Carson Wentz, 4 for 8. He had a touchdown. Altogether, the team was 38 of 169, 4.4 yards per rush, and the 2 touchdowns. Zach Ertz, 6 receptions, 80 yards. Jordan Matthews, 6 for 27. Ken John Barner, 2 for 25. Fletcher Cox recovered a fumble. Carson Wentz fumbled twice, did not lose any of them, recovered one. Ryan Matthews had a fumble that was not lost. Nigel Bradham had a sack, 1 of 3. Fletcher Cox had one, starting to get back into the sack game. The other one was split between Brandon Graham and Bo Allen. Jordan Hicks had an interception. He returned it 34 yards, but not for a touchdown. And Caleb Sturgis was 4 for 4 in his field goals. For the Baltimore Ravens, Joe Flacco, not a very good game, but they got the win, 16 of 30, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Terrence West, one of the better days he's had running the ball, 13 carries, 77 yards, 5.9 yards per rush. Michael Campanaro had a 39-yard run. Kenneth Dixon, 9 for 36, he had a touchdown. Altogether, 24 of 151, 6.3 yards per rush, and the touchdown. Mike Wallace, 2 receptions, 60 yards. We've talked about that with Baltimore, how up and down their big playmakers are. Wallace had a 54-yard reception. Obviously, the 2 for 60 is 30, but the other one was only 6 yards, so it's reflective right there. Terrence West, 4 for 45. Steve Smith, 2 for 40, a touchdown. Kamir Aiken, 2 for 19, and a touchdown. Marquestin Huff recovered a fumble. Joe Flacco lost a fumble. Chris Moore fumbled. It was not lost. The team had only 1 sack. It was Elvis Dumerville. Zachary Orr had an interception. Chris Moore, 4 returns, 98 yards. That's just under 25 yards per return. Pretty good. Justin Tucker, 2 for 2 in his field goal. So Philadelphia continues to have their struggles on the road. Carson Wentz, a few too many incompletions. We've seen that at times with him this year. It's just things that, Carson Wentz will get better at. And he just needs to develop his game more, and it'll come more in the future. I would not worry about Carson Wentz. He certainly shows all the ability. Baltimore, like we said, keeping pace. Philadelphia had a chance to win this game. They were down 27-20, scored the touchdown, went for 2, as opposed to when Tennessee did it. I agree in both situations. It's just here there's really, you're doing it because you're a 5-8 team, and just for boldness sakes. In Tennessee's case, I think that it's the right decision every time. But with that being said, Baltimore certainly will play Pittsburgh again. That's going to be a big game moving forward the rest of the way. Another big game, the Houston Texans coming from behind to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 21-20. Houston still on top the AFC South, tied record-wise with Tennessee holding the tiebreaker at 8-6. Jacksonville drops to 2-12. Blake Bortles, terrible game, 12 of 28, 92 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Chris Ivory, 10 carries, 44 yards, 4.4 yards per rush. TJ Yeldon, 8 for 28, 3.5 yards per rush. Blake Bortles had 2 carries for -5 yards, but he did have a touchdown rushing. The team altogether 67, 3.3 yards per rush. TJ Yeldon, top receiver, 5 for 34. Byron Walters, 2 for 26. Allen Robinson, 2 for 15. No fumbles. The team had no sacks. Jalen Ramsey, Telvin Smith both had interceptions. Jason Myers, 2 for 2 in his field goals. For the Houston Texans, Brock Osweiler came out of this game. He was replaced by Tom Savage after Osweiler was 6 of 11 for 48 yards and 2 interceptions. Tom Savage, 22 of 36, 260 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Lamar Miller, 22 carries, 63 yards, 2.9 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Akeem Hunt, 3 for 15, 5 yards per rush. Altogether, the team was 31 of 79, 2.5 yards per rush. DeAndre Hopkins starting to come along, 8 receptions, 87 yards. Ryan Griffin, 8 for 85. Will Fuller, the 5th, 4 for 42. The team recovered a fumble. Not sure how that works, if it was on an onside kick or whatever. Akeem Hunt fumbled twice, recovered one of them, did not lose the other. Will Fuller fumbled, it was not lost. Wendell Williams recovered a fumble. Jadeveon Clowney had a sack, one of two for the team. Quentin Demps had an interception. Nick Novak 4 for 4 in his field goal. So Jacksonville very poorly in this game. They had a lead, could not hold it, obviously, with the running game the way it is. And Blake Bortles, terrible. Blake Bortles, as bad as the running game has been, he's still a better quarterback than this. I don't know how good Blake Bortles is, if he's a quarterback of the future or a big-time quarterback of the future, but he's got to be better. Of course, with Houston moving forward, the question marks are going to be who's going to get the starting job. You would expect Tom Savage, but we'll have to see. They have 2 games left. They win out. Obviously, they win the division. Green Bay now keeping pace with the Lions' loss earlier, 30-27 win over the game Chicago Bears. Aaron Rodgers not good, 19 of 31, 252 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Now, I said Ty Montgomery, I don't think he can get the job done running. I was incorrect. 16 carries, 162 yards, 10.1 yards per rush, 2 touchdowns. Christian Michael 4 for 45, 11.3 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Aaron Rodgers 3 for 19, 6.3 yards per rush. The team 23 of 226, 9.8 yards per rush, and the 3 touchdowns. So obviously they may have found something in their running game. Jordy Nelson 7 receptions, 124 yards. Jared Cook 6 for 85. Devontae Adams 2 for 25. Julius Peppers recovered a fumble. The team had 1 sack. It was Julius Peppers, so still getting the job done at his age. Clinton Dix 2 interceptions. Michael Hyde had an interception. Mason Crosby 3 for 3 in his field goals. The Chicago Bears, and Crosby had the game winner as time expired. Matt Barkley, good, 30 of 43, 362 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did have 3 interceptions. That's something that'll come with the more time he gets. He should be able to correct that, but Chicago certainly may have a quarterback here. Matt Barkley has definitely played his way into a job next season. As a bare minimum, a backup, he may get a starting spot somewhere. We'll have to see. Jordan Howard, 17 carries, 90 yards. He's had a quality season for a bad team, 5.3 yards per rush, a touchdown. Altogether, the team 19 of 95, 5 yards per rush. Deontay Thompson, 8 receptions, 110 yards. Cameron Meredith, 9 for 104. Alshon Jeffrey, 6 for 89. He had a touchdown. Joshua Bellamy also had a 10-yard touchdown. Matt Barkley lost a fumble, so he had 4 turnovers. Not very good there. The team had 4 sacks. Pernell McPhee, 2. C.J. Wilson, 1. DeMontre Hurst, the other. Connor Barth 2 for 2 in his field goal. So Green Bay has now won 4 straight. They're keeping pace. They have a chance to win the division now because they're only a game back of Detroit. They've beaten Detroit and they played Detroit once more, so they will have the tiebreaker. So they are in control of their own destiny for the NFC North title. As for the Chicago Bears, give them credit because they have not packed it in down the stretch. They have played hard, and let's see what they have with Matt Barkley. If they can get a win here, to end the season, it'd be nice for him because they're playing tough. They're just not coming up with the victories, and you'd see what Matt Barkley has for the future. Pittsburgh coming back. Cincinnati was eliminated when Baltimore lost, but certainly to blow this game is disappointing as well. A microcosm of what the Bengals or this season it had been under Marvin Lewis. It was 24-20. Pittsburgh at 9-5 continues the 1-game bulge over Baltimore, but just as we discussed with the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers, Baltimore has already beaten Pittsburgh and plays Pittsburgh one more time, so a win will allow Baltimore to catch Pittsburgh. Cincinnati drops to 5-8-1. Ben Roethlisberger, 21 of 36, 286 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Le'Veon Bell held in check for the most part, 23 carries, 93 yards, 4 yards per rush. The team, 29 of 97, 3.3 yards per rush. However, Ben Roethlisberger had 4 carries for -5 yards, so that brings the numbers down. Eli Rogers, 5 for 75 receiving. He had a touchdown. Ladarius Green, 5 for 72. Antonio Brown, 3 for 58. Ben Roethlisberger fumbled. He recovered it. Ryan Shazier had the only sack. Lawrence Timmons had an interception. Chris Boswell, 6 for 6 in his field goals. We'll get into that in a moment, the field goal situation. Andy Dalton, 16-27, 157 yards. No touchdowns, 1 interception. Jeremy Hill, 20 carries, 43 yards, 2.2 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Rex Burkhead, 7 of 32, 4.6. Andy Dalton had a 1-yard touchdown run. The team, 28 of 76, 2.7 yards per rush. Brandon LaFell, top receiver, 7 for 91. Rex Burkhead, 2 for 18. Cody Core, 2 for 13. 1 sack, it was Geno Atkins, so the defensive line continues to play well. Alec Erickson had 5 returns for 166 yards, which is a 33.2 yards per return average. However, he did have a 72-yarder, which buoys the numbers. Randy Bullock 2 for 2 in his field goals. Now, the field goal kicking situation, it's not that it's anything bad with Pittsburgh, and it's not to be reflective on Pittsburgh at all. It's to show Cincinnati. Cincinnati was up 20-6 at one point, 20-9 going into the half. Now, they were held scoreless in the second half. Pittsburgh only had 1 touchdown in this game. They went for 2 on it. I don't know. I mean, inexplicably, even with Mike Tomlin, it didn't make much sense, but that's besides the point. That touchdown came late when they were down 20-18, Pittsburgh, that is. So they kicked 6 field goals up to that point. To allow a team to come back on you when you're up 20-6 and then 20-9, when you require them to kick, 3 more field goals just to get it to 20-18, it's why Cincinnati's struggling. Now, as for Pittsburgh, their offense has shown this at times where they've sputtered a bit. It's something that you'd have to keep an eye on, but Le'Veon Bell, they need to get him back to his top form. He was decent today, but like we said, didn't go over 100 yards. Did not have many receptions. Did have 5 for 38, which isn't bad, but he can be much more explosive than that. So that's something to keep an eye on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, so that finishes up the 1 o'clock time slot games. We will come back as soon as we can to do the 4 o'clock games. They're still finishing up now. It's about 6:30 right now. This video will probably be up at about 7 o'clock. So again, we apologize for the ones before, and we will see you in a little bit. Thank you so much.